No one knows what is happening. No one knows what is happening. There is a lot of danger out there, okay?
Hi. This video is going to be journalistic in nature, so you're going to be seeing a lot more of my face. I hope that's okay. We're going to be recounting my trip to spring training this year, 2020. Let's start. No, we can't. Not yet. I'm interrupting myself from April to let you know that I've had to redo this video 3 times. And that's because I've had to shift the focus of this video as things have progressed since the coronavirus. There's way too many anecdotes, way too many stories for me to fit into this format. So I've had to kind of hone in on what it is that I actually want to say. Previous versions of this video were very similar to a, hey, look at this cool thing that I got to do, or look at this great access I had to this player or this person. Here's an insight that I had. And it turns out that that's not very interesting. So I've honed in on what I think is the most important thing about this trip. We were among the last people to see professional baseball before COVID-19 changed everything.
Welcome to Disneyland, USA.
Have you ever been to Disney World? If you've never been, it's a very large estate filled with multiple Disney-themed parks. My personal favorite is Epcot, or as Walt called it,
Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow.
This park has multiple pavilions themed after different countries, and each has their own signature alcoholic beverage. But more than that, Disney is a place meant to let kids experience magic, and to let adults feel like kids again. And for many, it works. But you know what else works for baseball fans? One day, I received a DM from 5 Points. Hey, I'm trying to organize spring training for a week with other YouTubers. We're planning to get some time with players and tour stadiums and get on-field access. You want to go? I responded with a pointed and resounding, hell yes. Who else is going? He said, Urinating Tree, and Mike and Matt from Stark Raving Sports. I'm going to ask MLB if they'd give us credentials. Awesome. So we, and by we I mean 5 Points, went to MLB and said, what do you think? And they said, yeah, okay, sounds cool. And we were off.
I'm sad that I'm flying.
So here's the plan. 5 of us stay in a house in West Palm Beach for 4 days. Each day we get to go to a spring training game, 2 of which we have credentialed access, the Mets and the Marlins. First and last days respectively. During that time we're making content for our channels. The house was incredibly close to the National Stadium, while being about 30 minutes from the Cardinals and Marlins facility, and an hour or so from Mets camp, which was stop number 1. I could talk about the field, or the sounds of batting practice, or how I bumped into Brandon Nimmo, or how amazing Pete Alonso was conversing with the child asking for his bat. I could talk about Yoenis Cespedes and how it was awesome to see him on the field again, and do a whole animated segment on how awesome he is. Was. I planned to do that. But no. Instead, I'm going to talk to you about the media room. Each stadium has a room for media. Sports writers and the like sit down and do their work while they watch the game, usually on a big screen TV. There's a buffet-style lunch that you usually have to pay for, about $10, and the major outlets have marked out seats, and the rest of us share the tables. This room was horrendously bland. Off-white walls with a singular functional design of seating as many people as possible. Look, my expectations for behind-the-scenes baseball was a bit higher than sitting in a room with all journalists watching the game on a TV with a subpar $10 buffet, but perhaps I was naive, expecting just a hint of glamour, a shimmer of polish. But the thing is, Mike Puma, Anthony DiComo, Tim Britton, all the New York Mets media, they were in the same hellish room that I was, as we were, eating that same food, watching the same game. This is a workplace. This is a business. All focus was on the piece that they were writing. None of them were rude, but not really inviting either. No cheering, no booing. It's kind of stuffy and stale in there. Look, it's their job, and that's fine. This, however, not really our job. This is a business. First. Okay, here's that Yoenis bit that I made earlier, and sorry in advance to Mets fans. Little known fact about spring training is that teams actually allow public access to their workouts. Some do. The Nationals were one of them. So you can literally stand along the fence and watch them practice. You can be 10 feet away from your favorite baseball player, which is kind of what we did. Doing this is very uninteresting for most of us. While it was neat to see Max Scherzer 10 feet away, all he was doing was playing catch. All Sean Doolittle was doing was practicing his windup. There's no stakes, there's no drama, there's no competition. It's just the process. Which one could argue is why it would be interesting. I watched the Nationals take infield practice. There were mistakes aplenty. This is spring training, remember. A player who was having a particularly hard time was Eric Thames. He bobbled and botched a bunch of ground balls. But what was interesting was later that day, when we watched them play at the game, he made a sick play at first. So it begs the question, did those botched grounders help him during the game? Or was it just kind of chance? Was he just warming up? I don't know. What I can say is that it was interesting to watch that process. Perhaps we forget how long of a season that baseball is. We only ever get to see the results on the field. But much of the year is the players grinding, practicing. And you know, I can relate a little bit to that in that it's much like creating. If you don't like the act of creating, if you don't like the process of creating, then it'll be hard to motivate yourself to do anything creative. If you only like the results, you're not gonna last very long. It's about the process.
All right, I get it!
So the unique thing about this day was that I was able to take in and realize the best part about actually going to a game. And it's sitting amongst the fans.
Up the middle, Wall, a diving step before Theo, power on a double play.
That was magnificent. You won't see one
Millers are getting a potent Wall. 2-2. Curveball, guys. Strike three, Wall swings right through it.
Verlander doesn't get Mounika with this pitch. This could be his last batter.
Maybe I'm romanticizing this a little bit because of COVID and that we're really limited to the amount of people that we can sit around. But when I think back about this day, I think about the eclectic group of people that we sat around during that game. There was a couple behind us that was keeping score. They were really into it, conversing with one another about what happened in the last at-bat, and they were shouting out the scoring. It was pretty funny, and I mean, I thought I was nerdy, but that is a whole different level of nerdiness. To my left was a Cleveland Indians fan. We struck up a conversation after he started complaining about the Astros possibly cheating against them in the 2018 LDS, which is very likely. And by the way, it is very fun to boo the Astros. Whenever we're back in the stadium, we should definitely keep doing that. Very fun. I'm a little proud of the fact that I was one of the few that can say that I booed the Astros in person. So anyway, I gave this guy my condolences and told him that they were treated to a great World Series in 2016, and we commiserated and shared our love for Corey Kluber. To my right, oh boy, were two older Yankees fans, and they were completely wasted. They were heckling the bejesus out of the Astros players. I have never seen such aggressive heckling. I think Adam and Mike thought that it was annoying. I think it scared Matt a little bit, and Steve and I just thought it was hilarious and amusing. What made it amusing for me was the specific and intentional heckling of the Astros third base coach. Maybe because we were so close to him. It was like a positive heckling, like it was a pleading heckling of like a, why, Gary, why? Why are you doing this to us? Why are you on the Astros? Come to the Yankees, Gary, Gary. So witnessing this specific heckling brought a question in my mind that I had to find the answer to, which was, who is the Astros third base coach? Okay, so these Yankees fans probably remembered Gary and had fond memories of him and didn't like that he was on a cheating team. Okay, cool, I get it now. This game, in which Verlander started, was incredibly enjoyable. And it was mostly due to the fact that I followed my curiosities. Whether that was listening to the different people sitting around me and how they look at the game, or trying to figure out who the Astros' third base coach is. The sights and smells of a ballpark are like no other. Hot dogs, popcorn, vendors peddling snacks and tchotchkes. It was a communal experience, especially because we had a common enemy. And we were the last to do that. We were one of the last. At the end of day 3, I felt like I was in Disney World. Every day I was experiencing a childlike wonder, a reminder of what makes baseball great, and how lucky I was to be here. I'm sitting here in my office at the beginning of the MLB playoffs. I'm thinking about my experience. I can't help but think that this is probably not coming back for a long time. It may never be the same. So during the first 3 days, I got to peek behind the curtain and see baseball as a business. I also got to see baseball as a process, and I'm going to come to the conclusion, I think being a fan is way better than working in baseball. And I don't even think it's particularly close. So knowing this, savor the memories, appreciate the complexities, and follow your curiosities. And maybe you'll experience epiphany. That's day 4, my day with the Miami Marlins. Part 2 will hopefully be coming out soonish. I look forward to showing you all the last and best day of our trip. Would you all mind doing me a gigantic favor and subscribe to the channel? A large amount of you are not subscribed, and it would help me validate putting the amount of time I put into these videos. Thanks. Also, like and comment for any future video suggestions. I read every single one. Quick shout out to Matt at Stark Raving Sports. He's about to release the Meet the Wilpons video, which I did the title animation for. And he hasn't shown it to me yet, but it looks like it's gonna be great. Also, I think you all should check out Jolly Olive's video on R.A. Dickey. I found it illuminating and empathetic, and I think you all enjoy it. Now, if you would please, go to Foolish Baseball's channel and bother him for a Zach Greinke video. Love you all. Final note, Gary Pettis was recently diagnosed with multiple myeloma. I wish him a speedy recovery and hope that he returns to coaching as soon as he is healthy and ready to do so. Get well, Gary.